So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It's Wednesday morning, June the 20th, June 21st, 2017. I could be kicked out of the country at any time because I don't have the money to pay for legal processes, which is in the thousands of dollars. No attorney, even one attorney who works with a firm called Rettur, Retturis.com. Her name is Katrin, like Catherine, but it's Katrin, Katrin, Katrin Oldsdotter, who I spoke to before she went to Berkeley for a conference. Listen to the words Berkeley Liberalism Open. When I called her directly from the main SIM card from Siemens, 858-1817. It's an Iceland number. I called her from that number, and that's my number. And I called her, and she was leaving to Berkeley a couple of weeks ago. So she said she'll talk to me when she gets back, and I kept it very brief that I need representation and I need help. And the conversation ended with, I'll talk to you, see what we can do when we get back. When she got back, she never responded to me. And I sent her, and I think I called her via WhatsApp. That's what I did. I called her direct, and then I messaged her via WhatsApp, and she never responded to me. And she never responded to me for days on end. So then when I tried to communicate with her thereafter, she said, you're going to have to deal with somebody else. I'm sorry, I can't take this right now. So it's a continuing pattern over and over continuously. Like when I need legal representation, my detractors, because my detractors are government officials. You cannot call them adversaries, but they treat me like an adversary. My detractors know that I don't have money. So what is happening with me is, it appears that I am being cordoned off. Yeah, I am being cordoned off. Sort of like a Qatar situation, as if I was a Qatar or an Edward Snowden. I am being surrounded and kept from having money to be able to have legal representation and everything. So I was polite with her number. And how are you enjoying Berkeley? Which we Californians sometimes used to refer to as the People's Republic of Berkeley. Is Adam, the 47-year-old who was recommended by Ray Edgerson to contact you as soon as possible. I was shackled, chained, and blinded suddenly in Singapore during October without explanation. And Sigma, who just very much didn't want to explain, but they had no choice. I argue that these fascists talking about citizenship and all that related to such birth and ancestral status and usurp them from me based on mere suspicion and libelous inference and definition of my character and my psychological state in relation to my religious choice of wanting to remain a Muslim. Please don't believe anything negative you may see. The President Trump, when he did the Culverton or whatever, these big dumb things, it happens, man. In relation to my religion, you may hear about me without interrogating me about these unknown allegations. Have a wonderful and joyous stay in California. I sent this because the attorney Bill Simpich, he was taking so long. The attorney was taking so long to respond to me that I was falling into visa delinquency here in Scandinavia, which when you do it in one country, you could be blocked out of all countries, which is called the Schengen. You see, and it's like, oh, that sucks. It wasn't like that before the European Union. I can't even go to Switzerland where I need to go, but I might and might not, because there's a lot of duplicity in the face of Muslims, even in the diplomatic corps. A lot of duplicity, a lot of two-facedness. Nobody's straight. Even something innocuous as you need some help, you want to work. People are not even straight about that in among the Muslims. Non-Muslims particularly, but among Muslims too. A lot, even worse so. We're not even straight about that. If there's anything that would jeopardize their seat, their comfortable position, their UN representation, their diplomatic office, comforts, perks, chauffeurs, luxury, good food, good residence, good accommodation, this, that, all they got to do is pretend, make a statement. The statements are emailed or faxed them from their foreign ministry. This is what you're going to say. That's it. And then after that, you get back in the car, you enjoy luxury, you have a good life. Anything that might upset or shake that, they don't want to be involved. So I'm hoping that this is not the case. When I was saying he might have been compromised or intimidated by some U.S.-based entity in regards to my Reykjavik notarized requests to him for services to aid my Vina Mulstufan and Utlanding Stufan application to start work here. And that's his California Bar Association. So I was afraid I'm in trouble because my 3-month visa expires on the 6th of June and I have no travel document. And the past mayor of San Francisco, Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom, had a section of his staff personally get involved to insist that they grant me a renewed 10-year validity passport. Some believe that a discreet operation may be placed against me to force me to become illegal in Europe and to then, out of panic, act hastily to request asylum and then be thrown out of a good, stable Europe to be forced back to go back to living on the streets of the United States, destitute, despised, outcast, and perpetually under the pall of Islamic extremism suspicion, or as a so-called public safety threat, as if I am potentially insane. Which has libeled me in my livelihood for years now. I sent her a copy of the letter from Attorney Simpich, one of 3 pages of a single resident application one of 3 pages of a single Icelandic resident application required document, just starting to trickle in after initially asking for this almost 3 months ago. SFPD record clearance letter. There's also another one from Long Beach, but I don't have the $280 to pay the attorney. That is hi friend, I'm not working and cannot read this. You can try, and this is a lawyer, Catherine Olsdotter, Retta for legal advice. Retta@retta.s for legal advice. How was your trip to Berkeley? How was your trip? And the strange part about decorum, behavioral communicative decorum, I was nice and said, how was your trip to Berkeley? No answer. Completely stopped. There was the 15th of June. What's today's date? June 21st. So something suspicious about my interactions, and that means if WhatsApp is involved, as well as other providers such as Proton Mail of Switzerland, Tutanota of Germany are involved in giving over my records, they can be sued because it is known that I have nothing to do with terrorism. But what it was, Salim Mujahid, the good brother in Harlem, said that spiritually what he feels is the people that have been after me feel that everybody that I've been contacting, I have been interacting with people who have access to money, and they don't want blacks to have access to money. Yeah. They don't want you having access to money. They don't like it if you have access to money. So I told someone I have never stopped loving you, and this is a fellow Muslim, but I'm allowed to communicate with her, but I'm not allowed to communicate with anybody else. I have no idea why. I'm not allowed to communicate with any other type of Muslim. This is another Muslim that I'm interested in, Nikah, and she came on at 7:12. She has been coming on sporadically, very strangely, but several days before, maybe more than 10 days ago, she had a lot of time to communicate with me on WhatsApp and a lot of questions. A lot of time, lots of time. But suddenly, there's always a sudden in the communications. So if it is known that WhatsApp, which is now a part of the Facebook spying nexus, which Edward Snowden and Julian Assange warned about, if they are doing this to a black man who is not involved with Islamic extremism, I'm staying with Coptic Christians, who one has removed his fast charger because initially he said it's okay, you can use the charger, digital freedom in his bullshit English. He said electricity freedom, no problem. I would always ask him. So now I guess he got tired of me using his rapid charger because I can't afford a proper. This is a flimsy charger that the Ahmadiyya representative, the Qadiani representative gave me. It hardly even charges. So if this dissipates, and look at the numbers, timely as I'm mentioning, talking about this, look at the symbology, the numerology, the numbers, of which there was an Indian engineer who was senior at Cisco, who was since retired and left. He used to help me a little bit here and there. I didn't even have food at one time in California, and he was in Silicon Valley, like Santa Clara, San Jose, and he did some calculations of what I needed to possibly go to school, but I couldn't complete it, but he was thinking about doing something. The numbers 911 came up, and the number 666 came up. And it happened 2 times with Brother Ghulam. 2 times. And he looked at me, yeah, like it was crazy. So anyhow, long story short, I don't want to go back to the U.S. I don't like it. I don't like it. For me, this is for me. But why, like a Saudi woman who was trying to run away from abuse in Saudi Arabia, the Saudis had the Philippine government. They exerted financial pressure because there's a relationship between the Philippines and Saudi laborers, and there's kickbacks and money flowing around the people's bodies of indentured labor that goes to Filipino agencies, officials, and all that. There's money flows and good slaves and good raping meat and all of that. So what happened, the Saudis put pressure on the Filipinos to seize this sister who was trying to run after being beat and abused so horribly, and whose relatives were being forced to go into Daesh or ISIS, and she wanted to get away from that. She was on the way to Australia. The problem, she made the mistake is transiting in a country that is what Russia is, a country that Vladimir Putin warned about various countries that are vassals of other nation states, that are sort of vassals, lackeys, sycophants or sycophants states. So she did that, and that's where they grabbed her. Saudis grabbed her and then put her back with the tip off. The Filipino officials took her passport away from her, and then the Saudis grabbed her, came and grabbed her and put her back on the plane, forced her to go back. She was trying to get asylum in Australia, so to get away from abuse and beatings, constant beatings and whippings and all that by the brother-in-law or something like that. Yeah. So the thing is, that being said, this communication thing that if it's just found out, Facebook can be litigated against. Yeah, Facebook can be sued, man. Facebook, Google, Gmail. There's numerous things that I have. Of them, me having the actual passwords to emails between myself and somebody that I love dearly, and then suddenly I couldn't get into the accounts. Numerous accounts of my mother when I was kidnapped in Singapore for rendition and for torture and execution. Without anybody's knowledge, I had a device that didn't look like a phone, but it was, and I called out and told people in Europe and other places, my mother and other people, that I was underground, that I was seized, and the people got wind and intercepted the communications. My mother, who was an old Baptist Christian with a woman with a walker, walking on a walker, they intercept these communications between me and her. And I don't talk about crazy nonsense, and I don't have crazy nonsense to talk about her insanity. But there is a culture that you're Muslim, you're suspect by nature, but then there are other Muslims that they treat well, like Pakistanis, really fair-skinned Syrian or Palestinian or Bilad al-Shami people. They treat them very well and honorably, and all well, so good. They don't go through the stuff that we go through. And if you're kept alone and unmarried, then you potentially fall in the identification of possible lone wolf. Yeah, lone wolf, lone attacker. And I'm not crazy. I'm not insane now. I'm not a lunatic. You don't have to be insane to conduct attacks, but you would have to be like a virulent rabid dog, an animal. And this is what they're trying to do. And they even threatened in the past certain people, Dr. King, with letters, discreet letters to him directly, that they didn't want anybody to see that he was a reprobate animal. He was a reprobate sexual beast and an animal. Whereas they lay all over the streets like it ain't nothing and play with human sexuality. They toy with it and they fetter it and they hamper it and they torment it, with nothing but blase and tease, constant tease and arousal and games. Whereas in Islam, we don't do that. But even though there's a lot of abuse of our sisters in humanity with women, a lot of abuse of a lot of overstep and overrunning them when it's multiple marriage stuff, which I can't call it crap because it's allowed in the Quran. You cannot defame anything that is Quranically. For us, for my belief, you cannot do it. Even things like turban and all that, you cannot mock that stuff. But abusing with a nonsensical approach about 1, 2, 3 more to marry a wife. So I got married, things just happened. I just got the lock. And they go in with attention. If it work, it work. They don't, it don't. But at least they get their satisfaction and their nuffs. And this is no good, man, in regards to women. One, because it says, verily one wife is sufficient or better for you. Something like that in the Quran that's mentioned. Meaning His Majesty the Creator is advising one wife, even though you're allowed up to 4, but one would be better for you. So whose advice? My nuffs or his advice? It's better. I'm not even allowed to have the one. I'm not even allowed to have the one. The one that is practicing. And that I choose her and she mutually returns and choose me. I'm not permitted that with this electronic operation. So Facebook and all the periphery organizations related to it, in Gmail, Google, they can be sued. They can be litigated. And this could be a big victory for Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. A big victory. But right now, these people, via the attorney, this is all my dirty clothes. And this is a few clean clothes I have left. I'm even wearing dirty socks, doing my Islamic prayers, which is called Salat, Namaz, and doing the Masa. After I do a full wudu with the feet, and then 24 hours I do a Masa over these dirty socks. I don't have any other clothes. And running out of detergent, nothing to wash, and none of that. So if I were adopted by nikah, by a family, even an older woman that's over 50 years old, somebody that would say, Kalas, she's finished, even 60 years old, but she's Mahajabat or Munakabat, and she's married, Kalas, she's finished, and she has extended family, I would have to be going through this because they would have Mashura, what is called Mashura, and then they would organize what can we do to rebuild you, brother? You are still viable. We can rehabilitate you. We can rehabilitate you health wise and rehabilitate you vocationally so that you can perform for a woman in the family. You can be productive economically. But what can we do? See, like this, in an old broken down room, provided me by someone, the Ahmadiyya community, I can't do nothing. I can't do nothing. But Allah is aware, man. And something's going to come through it before this Ramadan ends positively. But Sheikh Imran Hussein advised me that I should go of Trinidad and apply for a political asylum. He said based on the circumstances, what he has heard and what he knows about me, I should apply for political asylum because they're going to say the fastest element of Europe will say that, oh, this guy, black guy, this, that, and he's coming from America. You go back to America. America, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a country of democracy. It's a country of freedom. It's a country of good. They're against Russia, meaning my country, the United States, is against Russia, but America's good. You have rights, you have this, you have that. Now when I was getting stopped every other day, by law enforcement, being pulled over for this and that, because things I can't pay. I can't pay bills and debts and, parking tickets. I can't pay stuff, I don't have money. I don't have income, man. I'm not allowed to have income and fees for this and fees for that. Wrong light signal and the light, left light, back light, rear light broken. This or that. Yeah, I don't have it. So this housing here is all men. It's all men live here, no women. All men, all working men. But what it is, they come from Latvia and other places, but they are Russian ancestry. They don't need visas or work permission. They can, because of the EU agreements, they can work immediately, right away. I cannot. I can't. So they come and work, they make their money, and they leave.